What if I told you that one of the most talented rookies in WNBA history is being benched during crucial game moments? Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what's happening to Caitlin Clark. Now, you might be wondering, what's going on with the Fever? Let's dive into this mess and see if we can make sense of it all. We need to discuss that matchup with Seattle first. With a narrow 2-point margin, the Fever prevailed. Got it! 2 points. And when it mattered most, where was Caitlin Clark upon the seat? Yes, you read it correctly. As her team faltered, the record-breaking player sat on the sidelines and watched. Imagine this. All right, now's the time, everyone is thinking, as the game enters the fourth quarter and tensions are high. Clark is going to enter and do her thing. My bad. She sits on the bench, according to Coach Sides. The supporters are bewildered. The pundits don't understand. The opposing side appears bewildered, as if Twitter, of all places, had something to say on the matter. Supporters were going absolutely crazy. Why sit your best player when you're down a point? That was the essence of one tweet. It is detrimental to the team's prospects and fails to make any sense. Can you really disagree with that? The problem arises, however, at this point. It would be naive to think Coach Sides is acting randomly. Perhaps Clark was coping with a bit of exhaustion. Perhaps there is a particular tactic that is going unnoticed. Alternately, perhaps, well, then things really begin to heat up. Do you perceive the problem with the benching apparatus? This isn't an isolated incident. Game after game it has occurred. As a result, many are asking, what is the Fever's true situation? Is there something going on in the background that we are unaware of? So, what's the point of benching her? I mean, isn't that the million-dollar question? Plus, it's not only fans who are inquiring. Many in the basketball world, including commentators, players, and coaches, are perplexed for the simple reason that you can't help but make use of a player like Caitlin Clark. You center your plan on her. You can't just stand by and let her watch. However, things become even more worrisome from this point on. Clark isn't the only one involved. Benching is just a symptom of a larger problem. In the locker room, rumblings of unease can be heard. Disagreements between the coaching staff and the players have been circulating. Looking at the Fever's record as a whole, this season reveals a trend of dubious choices. Put it in your mind, quite a few times this season, the Fever have narrowly avoided defeat. They lost games that they could have won with different decisions. Time and again, commentators and fans have highlighted situations where Clark's inclusion in the game could have been decisive. You remember how we've been bringing up the Fevers and Caitlin Clark's drama? Things have just gotten wilder, so fasten your seatbelts. Imagine this. At Fever practice, it's just another ordinary day. In all likelihood, the players are bracing for a few drills and scrimmages. As far as basketball is concerned, However, they come face to face with a treasure hunt. Indeed, what you heard was accurate, a treasure hunt. I know what you're thinking. What the hey? There is a constant flow of team-building exercises. Believe me when I say this wasn't your typical icebreaker. But to put it mildly, the reaction from those who saw the Fever post a video of this pre-practice exercise was less than stellar. Now tell me what this video is all about. Besides, playing basketball, it showed the players frantically searching for clues and generally being busy. What about the followers? They would have none of it. People weren't holding back when they expressed their reactions on social media, which went viral. Please stop it already. That pretty much sums it up, one fan said. Please recognize these ladies for what they are, professional athletes. That hurts. Who could blame them though? Just picture yourself watching your beloved squad get ready for a big game, only to find out they're actually going on a scavenger hunt. Imagine going to a restaurant with Michelin stars and getting a happy meal instead. However, things start to get intriguing at this point. The video's ridiculousness wasn't the only reason it irritated fans, because it seemed to point to a larger issue with the Fever's method of coaching and player development. It was deeply upsetting. Put it in your mind. Do you imagine scavenger hunts when you hear names like John Wooden or Phil Jackson mentioned? Definitely not. Fundamentals, strategy, and pushing one another to one's physical and mental limits were the foci of these legendary coaches. They didn't fritter away their practice time on inane games meant for children. Indeed, that was the exact sentiment held by the audience. Every practice should be crucial for the Fever as they fight for a playoff spot. Now we can discuss Coach Christie Sides. People had high hopes for her when she became head of the Fever. Someone had to step up and give the floundering squad some much needed direction and energy, and she was supposed to be that someone. However, at this moment, everyone here is trying to figure out what the heck is going on at the moment. Her coaching style can be analyzed in detail. Use of timeouts is the first item to be discussed. Do you know how a well-executed timeout can swing the game in a team's favor? It would seem that Coach Sides missed that message. Many fans have taken to keeping track of how many times she has ignored the other team's scoring surge and failed to call a timeout. At times, it's as if she's observing an entirely different match. On the other hand, things grow worse. Who gets to play when? They aren't exactly built to be successful, to put it mildly. Just in case you forgot, Caitlin Clark was sitting on the bench during pivotal moments. No, that isn't a stroke of unfortunate fate. This is a pattern that is extremely annoying. You may be asking, perhaps there is a comprehensive plan that we are overlooking. But here's the rub. Even if it does exist, it's ineffective. Supporters of the team claim that coach sides committed 7 key errors in their most recent game against Seattle. A total of 7. It's a catastrophe, not a strategy. And benching Clark is just one small part of it. It concerns the utilization, or should I say the abuse, of the entire team. The lineups are confusing. There has been far too much time for key players to sit out. It's as if you were to observe a master of chess playing checkers and coming up short. However, things start to get intriguing, by which I mean frustrating at this point. Plays written with Caitlin Clark in mind are severely lacking. That one player, right? The one who should be vying for most valuable player and rookie of the year. Absolutely, she is. Put it in your mind, are you not planning plays to highlight the abilities of your most talented young player in the league? It's the same as having a Ferrari and delivering pizzas with it. It is completely illogical. Both the team's and Clark's professional futures are negatively impacted by this. Potential for most valuable player? Counting down the minutes spent seated, a first-team all-star? She may as well not be participating in the discussion at this point. The coach just can't seem to get the hang of using her, and it's costing them. I can sense your thoughts at this point. Is this really all on coach sides? Also, I see your point. The coaching, however, becomes apparent when one examines the decision-making pattern, the dubious tactics, and the lost opportunities. Do you recall the video of the scavenger hunt that we discussed earlier? That was more than just an unusual choice. Adds up to a coach who appears to be completely unprepared. Instead of practicing, professional athletes are engaging in kindergarten-level activities. That's worrisome as well as strange. Sure, I'll start with the playoffs. Time is of the essence as the Indiana Fever race for that last spot. They are on the cusp of elimination with only around 15 games remaining in the season. Do you think it's real? Despite everything that has happened, they are still trying to win. But hear me out, just being in the running isn't good enough. The Fever must immediately improve their performance. All future matches are of the utmost importance. More mistakes or dubious coaching calls will cost them. What then must transpire in order for the Fever to guarantee themselves a place in the postseason? To begin, they must begin to achieve victories. I know, it seems silly, doesn't it? Here though, we're discussing a run of triumphs against formidable foes. Important games against the Atlanta Dream and the Chicago Sky are on the horizon for them. If they lose these games, their season is over. Additionally, their head-to-head record should not be overlooked. Tiebreakers can determine if a WNBA team advances to the playoffs or if they are relegated to home court. If the Fever want to secure the playoff spot, they must defeat the teams with whom they are directly competing. Considering Caitlin Clark, you may be asking, what about her? Shouldn't she be the one to rescue this squad? Moreover, your inquiry is valid. It would be foolish to underestimate Clark's possible influence on this playoff run. She has the ability to completely change the course of events with the flick of a wrist. The problem arises, however, at this point. You can't have Clark off the court if she wants to be the team leader. Do you recall the benching concerns we discussed? Those should definitely end. Right now, the Fever's offense would benefit from centering on Clark, so they should release her and let her play her game. More playing time, more opportunities on plays tailored to her strengths, and greater faith in her abilities from her coaches are all on the table. To have a chance at the playoffs, this team's strategy must revolve around Clark. The focus isn't solely on Clark though. Everyone on the squad has to do their part. We haven't seen that level of urgency from them this season. They also need to shore up their defense and increase their shooting percentage. Can the Fever get past their coaching problems and personal struggles? That's the burning question everyone is asking, and it needs to be addressed immediately. That has been the most significant obstacle thus far because, let's face it, the squad must figure out how to unite in order to overcome the dubious choices and strange drills. Instead of playing for the coach, they should play for each other. We need everyone on this team to pull together and get this ship back on course. But now things start to get interesting. It's possible that a turning point is approaching. The Fever are about to embark on a home game streak, and this is their chance to make a bold statement. With the home crowd cheering them on and the odds stacked against them, this could be the game changer. Think about this. After all this time, Clark gets her due. The group begins to gel. As a group, they gather behind them. All of a sudden, those narrow defeats become victories. The steam is rising. It won't be long until the Fever are riding high in the standings. Is it unlikely? Very possibly. Yet, in the WNBA, surprises abound. Teams have previously gone on unbelievable runs, completely reversing their seasons.